It's just the latest that has come out of this spot just on the edge of the river. You actually can see over here too, there's two people who have been in the water all day scuba diving here as teams try to remove vehicles from the water. There's 12 in total, we're told, and these things date back years. There's some as late as, 2021 pickup truck, but others in the 90s and the 80s. There's license plates on these vehicles from Michigan, not a crime scene. So the Windsor police aren't investigating this to look for anybody who's been missing or for any drugs or weapons. This is just about removing these vehicles from the water. Let's just take another look here as this one comes right out. So this has been happening all day since about 8 in the morning. We can see another safety official coming by here to take a look at what's going on. And what they've been doing as well is once these vehicles come out of the water, they're going to pop it open. They're going to look inside to see if anybody's inside there or anything is inside of there. They're going to pop the trunk, rifle through there as well, just to see what's there in case. The Port Authority here is on scene. They're checking for possible pollution spills and checking against VIN numbers and license plate numbers to see if these are attached to any ongoing police investigations. But this was started, we're told, by the property owner here who wanted to do their part, clean up the river. They knew these vehicles were inside of the water, and that's why they're here today.
We've known for years about cars have been disposed of in this slip, and unknown numbers. It's been anywhere from 10 to 14 cars. What we're finding today, there's a lot more than we even anticipated. So this private company is now coming in with a property owner retrieving these vehicles. So any construction or anything they're considering doing here, those vehicles would have to leave.
We should mention as well, there's a boom that they have on the other side of this space, and that's to stop anything from entering into the Detroit River to make sure that everything stays clean.
So we look here, we got gas tanks and engines with oil, steering column fluid. There's many things, fluids that are involved here, batteries. So we look to recover as much as we can and prevent it from going in the river. The contractor has an oil boom out, prevent it from going out. We have onshore winds, which helps. But to date, we've had nothing happen relative to the pollution. You see a lot of black in the water. That's rotted vegetation over the past decades that's being pulled through the mud.
Chris Hensing, CBC News, Windsor.
Hurricane Milton is expected to hit Florida tomorrow. Experts and officials are warning that the Category 4 storm has the potential to cause historic levels of destruction. Millions of Florida residents are bracing for the worst, and that includes people down there with Windsor ties.
We are bracing. My neighbors are putting the hurricane shutters up on their windows. Everybody's running around getting rid of any debris that could fly through our windows that the wind could pick up. And the grocery stores are empty. I stocked up on bottled water. I pre-cooked a lot of foods in case I don't have hydro. Up to 8 days we were warned that maybe we could be without power. So we filled all our propane bottles. We've got all our grills ready. We're nervous. That's what I can say. But we're prepared. It's scary. This is apparently a big one.
76-year-old Windsor snowbird Karen Kaminsky spends her winters in Sebring, Florida, and tonight she plans to take shelter at a friend's home that's sturdier than her own. Kaminsky's community is about 150 kilometers from where Hurricane Milton is predicted to make landfall on Wednesday night near Tampa Bay. Meteorologists say Hurricane Milton could be one of Florida's worst storms in 100 years. And that's just 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene devastated North Carolina, killing hundreds of people. One Windsor native who moved to Florida 20 years ago says she's also been preparing.
You know, I'm prepared to go several days without power. I've been there, done that, know what it's going to be like. The people on the coastlines, though, you know, they're going to have a much harder time than I will. But again, that storm surge is what's going to cause all of the damage. And as you know, Helene hit our area, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
And we'll have more on how Hurricane Milton is tracking when Colette joins us for weather. Lots of women are putting up their hands to say they want a career in trades, but the challenge is actually keeping them there. A new program in town is trying to do just that. Here's how.
No woman goes without support.
At Windsor's Fogelar Furlon, this group of 8 women start their journeys as millwrights. That's a skilled tradesperson who installs and fixes machinery. The program is the first of its kind, a partnership between the Millwright Regional Council and Build a Dream.
The problem is not getting women into the industry. The problem is keeping them.
That retention issue, that's what this program is looking to address. And they're doing that with what they're calling wraparound services.
What does that look like? Well, it looks like access to emergency childcare.
If a child is sick and can't go to daycare or school, the program will get them a babysitter.
Because women should not have to pay an extra tax to get to work.
Oh, it makes a huge difference because if my kid's sick, like my boyfriend, he runs his own business, so he can't afford to always take time off. And, you know, when my kid's father passed away last year, that made it even more difficult. So having that backup will really help so I won't miss work.
Other services, bringing in educators with the Unemployed Help Center to help the women brush up on skills like mathematics. That's to make sure they pass their aptitude tests at the end of the 6-week program.
Another reason why we are very successful is working with partnerships. Our contractors are able to start our apprentices with their foot in the door. So they are able to complete the program, and then they do start out to work right away, right afterwards, for some of their experience to start getting their foot in the door.
A big help to Mohammed, who says she's done a millwright program before but wasn't able to find work after. She hopes this time will be different.
It's going to give me the leg up that I needed.
Dodge Chargers might be made at Windsor Assembly Plant, but there aren't any coming off the line like the one parked in a lakeshore driveway. A 21-year-old man who loves to modify cars has been attracting attention for his personally customized Dodge Charger. You'll see here why it is turning heads.
This is a 2016 Dodge Charger, former police car. I lifted it 3 inches, did a full custom body kit. It's about 5 inches wider than stock. It's sitting on Ram Rebel wheels. It's got a Ram 1500 bumper. The idea for it was like a Charger TRX. TRX is the highest level trim of the Ram 1500, like off-road performance version. I do have plans to do a full rally suspension under it. I want to make it a fully capable off-road vehicle. I chose to cover it in bed liner. It's scratch resistant now. Everyone said it looked mean, so I stuck with it. I've always been a car guy. I've driven trucks before. They're kind of too big for me, and from conception to today, it took about 8 months, but hours, I'd say probably 12 to 15,000 hours. Basically a lot of body work, a lot of late nights, and a lot of positive feedback. You know, I really appreciate all the kind words. It got like 700,000 views on TikTok combined. As a Chrysler person at heart, I think it's good that we stay an automotive city because it's where our roots are in. It's a double take car, so you know most people, they see it and then they look away and they're like, wait a minute, and they look back and then they really take a good look at it.
Very cool. You've likely driven past the historic Masonic Temple on Olette Avenue and may have even wondered what it's like inside. Well, the building contains a ballroom that's more than 100 years old, and it's coming back to life because of a partnership with a local stage production company. Our video producer, Mike Evans, stopped by earlier today for a look at the space.
The ballroom used to be a major cultural hub in the city. We have a beautiful dance floor in here. We have an incredible stage, lots of beautiful lighting fixtures. So over the course of the last month, we've had to get the building up to speed for bar service, for kitchen service, installing new lights. We installed an entirely new sound system. We are 95% of the way there as a music venue. A little further to go for theater and events, and that's one of the reasons we are having our fundraiser.
What's been the most common reaction from people when you tell them that you're going to open a theater group here? Because to me, it kind of seems like a hidden gem in the city of Windsor.
I agree. People have been very excited, and as I've posted some pictures of the work that we've been doing with the lights in here, I've been getting a lot of contacts from people I used to work with in the music industry in Toronto, who are bookers, who are tour managers, who are interested in adding Windsor back to their roster of tour spots. There's all kinds of bands that come down the 401 and go straight to Detroit or straight to Columbus or Chicago, and they don't stop in Windsor because the options are 100 seats or 800 seats, and there's nothing in between. I'm old enough to remember when this venue was open as a central cultural hub. They would have the all-ages dances on the weekends, and kids from all over the city would get on buses and come downtown, and I know people who met their spouses here. Not only was this place a cultural hub, it was a leading-edge cultural hub. Windsor, we have the audiences and we have the talent, and what's missing is the venue for that talent to sell their product to the audience.
Colette Kennedy joins us now for a look at our weather forecast. Colette, I know you're going to be talking about local weather shortly, but we have to start with Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, we really do, because this one just is such an incredibly strong storm. And it's not just that, it's just how it is targeting the west coast of Florida. Unprecedented, catastrophic. I mean, these are deadly are words that are being used by the local officials there. And I mean, I can explain or try and illustrate why. First of all, yes, it dipped a little bit in intensity there for a period. It went from a Category 5 to a 4, but it is back to a 5 now. And one of the things that happened was it was going through that eye wall regeneration, which is pretty typical for a storm of this strength and size. And so basically the inner wall kind of breaks down and the outer eye wall then takes over, and we get a new outer eye wall as that goes. And even just, you see how clear this really is in terms of getting, let me go in for a closer look, getting that image of the eye wall itself. You know, yesterday the hurricane hunters that fly in and take the pressure and get the wind speeds, they were reporting flocks of birds that were within that eye wall because it's actually calm there. Outside of that, it is anything but. And now it's back to a Category 5. As it approaches the west coast of Florida, it is anticipated that it will weaken a little bit again in terms of its strength, still being a major hurricane quite likely, which is Category 3 and up, but it's also going to expand in terms of its actual size. Currently, the wind's at 270 kilometers an hour, so that's not just the threshold of a Cat 5. I mean, it starts at 252. This is up at 270 at the moment. Looking still like very close to Tampa. It may slide a little further south. There's still plenty of time for that to change. This whole thing here is the cone of uncertainty, what we call that, or the cone of confidence, in terms of we're still not sure exactly where in there it's going to go. But if it slides a little south, it's slightly better for Tampa Bay, that highly populated area, but because of how that will affect the storm surge into the bay. The records from this were from, Helene, were up there over 7 feet for some of the storm surge, and this is expected in some areas to be twice that or even more than that. And that is why they're calling it catastrophic, because of the flooding that is going to occur, the damaging winds, and possibly that loss of life. And then before it even gets there, we're looking at heavy rains that are falling there. So in terms of flooding, that's fresh water, and then this will be salt water with that storm surge that comes in. Now, one thing that should weaken it a little bit, some of these upper winds, that providing a bit of shear across the top of the storm system. And the other thing that we can look at with those upper winds is how it's having an effect on us back towards the lower Great Lakes region. And what we're seeing here is that that's driving the winds from the west to northwest in here. A trough bringing some showers kind of to the northeast of us. Just to let the control room know, I haven't heard any counts, so I don't know if I'm going over on my time here. And you know, I can talk forever about the weather, but just wanting to show everyone, otherwise we're looking at this ridge of high pressure that is in place. And so although there are showers nearby, generally we are getting the clearer conditions. I'm seeing you, Katerina, so does that mean I'm not hearing anyone, but I am out of time?
You must not be hearing anybody else, but I can...
I'll just keep on going, folks.
Why don't you give us the look ahead for the next couple of days if it's quick to get to?
Yes,
okay,
let's jump ahead.
There we go. Let's do that. So sorry to interrupt you, Colette.
Oh, that's okay. Overnight tonight, we're looking at our low around 6 and then up to 18 tomorrow. A really nice stretch of days here where we are going to be seeing a lot of sunshine and clearer conditions, and that bump up in the temperatures coming on Friday as well.
As always, we appreciate you.
Take care.
Let's take a live look outside there. Beautiful conditions here in our city. Love to see it. Stay with us. After the break, we're going to have some international news for you. Stay with us. Politicians are denouncing reports that a Canadian flag was burned at a rally in British Columbia. Chants calling for both Israel and Canada to burn were heard at the same rally. The federal Conservative leader is blaming rising vitriol and anti-Semitism on the government, while the Liberals are calling him a hypocrite and a liar. CBC's Catherine Cullen reports.
There were strong denunciations.
It is absolutely unacceptable to burn the Canadian flag and to chant death to Canada.
To these pro-genocide, anti-Semitic, anti-Canadian mobs who threaten our Jewish communities nationwide.
Politicians reacting to reports like this. Video not independently verified by CBC, apparently taken at a Vancouver protest on the October 7th anniversary.
This direct assault.
But the Conservatives are blaming the Liberals for the growing rise of anti-Semitism. Pierre Poilievre did it at an October 7th commemoration ceremony, offering a deeply political message.
It is time for the people to change the government.
Then again today, outside the House of Commons.
What has happened to our country? The division, the violence, the hate, the danger, the anti-Semitism that we've never seen before in this country.
He went even further Monday in the House of Commons, accusing the Foreign Affairs Minister of pandering to Hamas. She expressed outrage. Today, Melanie Joly became visibly frustrated in French, insisting she condemns Hamas and anti-Semitism. She says Poilievre is a hypocrite.
Well, he's saying that he's fighting anti-Semitism. He never condemned those who were waving a Nazi flag during the Freedom Convoy on this Parliament Hill. Why didn't he?
Poilievre is calling for Samidoun, the group that organized the Vancouver rally, to be recognized as a terrorist entity, arguing they're linked to another group that is recognized as a terrorist organization. The Liberals said today they're calling on national security advisors for an emergency review. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
The federal government is introducing measures it says will increase housing across the country. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland announced new mortgage refinancing options today for homeowners who are adding secondary suites to their property. These proposed reforms would take effect early next year.
The idea here is to make it easier for people to build a secondary suite in their home, for someone to build a basement flat, a garden flat, laneway housing. This is all about gentle density, creating more homes for Canadians to live in. It builds on the secondary suite loan program, which was announced in the budget.
In addition to that, Freeland says 14 more underused federal properties have been identified for housing, bringing the total properties available up to 70. Turning now to the latest on the Mideast crisis. Israel says it has killed one of the possible replacements for the head of Hezbollah. It is also issuing new evacuation warnings in the southern suburbs of Beirut as it expands its ground operations in the area. Israel says it continues to root out Hezbollah command posts and weapons caches in southern Lebanon. Today, it released video showing what it says is a supply of anti-tank rockets and other weapons. Meanwhile, Hezbollah unleashed more than 120 rockets on northern Israel from Lebanon today, the majority targeting Haifa. Israeli officials say air defenses intercepted most of them, but there was some damage to buildings and at least one minor injury. Schools in the city are now closed indefinitely. A clinical trial is underway in Rwanda to combat an outbreak of a deadly virus in that country. Jennifer Yoon now with what we know about Marburg and the race to contain it.
Hundreds of doses of an experimental vaccine now on the ground in Rwanda, a bid to stop the spread of a deadly virus.
This type of disease, most of the time, if not all the time, they start from hospitals.
This is the country's first Marburg outbreak. 56 confirmed cases and 12 deaths in just 10 days. The virus is closely related to Ebola. Symptoms can include high fever, severe headache, and nausea. At worst, it can cause multi-system organ failure. Fatality rates are as high as 88%, and there are no approved treatments or vaccine. In the past 10 years, there have been outbreaks in Tanzania, Equatorial Guinea, Ghana, and Uganda. In this latest outbreak in Rwanda, most of the people killed are health workers, which is why healthcare workers will now receive the experimental shot as part of a clinical trial from a US-based nonprofit promoting global vaccine access. The vaccine already shown to be safe for humans.
It is really a Herculean achievement.
This doctor, who survived an Ebola infection, calls the pace incredible and hopefully life-saving.
It means a lot knowing that there is global solidarity and a movement to really do something pretty unprecedented, like getting vaccines into a place so quickly.
It's a similar process that led to the development of Ebola vaccines.
As terrible as these outbreaks are and as devastating as this infection is, it still is an opportunity to do good for this world by determining if these products actually work.
Previous outbreaks have been contained with measures like contact tracing. Experts are optimistic the outbreak will be contained effectively and that the risk level for Canadians is low for now. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Another Nobel Prize winner has been announced. We will bring you that right after the break. Canadian professor from the University of Toronto is one of this year's winners of the Nobel Prize in Physics. Geoffrey Hinton is known as the godfather of artificial intelligence, and he says AI could soon be more intelligent than humans.
Fairly soon, probably within the next 20 years, we're going to develop things more intelligent than us, and we've never been there before. We have no idea what it's going to be like, and we should be working hard now on how to make sure it doesn't take control away from people.
Hinton is sharing the prize with John Hopfield of Princeton University. And that is it for CBC Windsor News. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful evening.